All right, so let's talk about it. The CNN live stream town hall with Trump. A lot of people are freaking out. They're saying that CNN should have seen this coming. Trump basically made a mockery of them facts. They're saying there was no ability to live check facts. They put his accuser, sexual harassment victim, in the spotlight and made things difficult for her. And there's kind of the typical calls for deplatforming. And this is what I want to talk about in general. I think you're seeing a lot of talk of deplatforming people that a lot of people, I'd say mostly liberals, feel this person has nothing value to say. They're harmful, they're detrimental. We shouldn't give them any platform to speak. If you're going to interview them, there's no positive that can be done. There's a lot of people that this extends to, but Trump is really one of the big focuses. You saw kind of when Facebook and Twitter took him off after January 6th, and he was kind of seen as a legit threat to the country. But before that, there had been really long-standing calls to have him removed from a lot of social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, I think YouTube, and this is where I find something to be very, very dangerous, and I really am uncomfortable with it. And I'll preface it saying my bias is I'm very anti-Trump. I would say politically, I definitely lean liberal socially, but a lot of policy I think is actually party agnostic. That's kind of a discussion for somewhere else. But I voted for Biden. I voted for Hillary. Very, very anti-Trump. I have a huge issue, a big, big concern with the amount of people I see on the left who say we should not give Trump any platform to speak. We should take him off Twitter. We should take him off, CNN, whatever it may be, right? The reason for this is very specific. Donald Trump is a former president. He was an active president at the time when people were calling for censorship, and he could possibly be the future president again. That's not a normal average citizen who could be doing damage. This is someone who could be our elected leader. The reason why I find it so dangerous to get on the path of trying to censor our elected leader is they are responsible for our country and our lives. Okay, so we need to at all times be aware of what is happening with someone with that kind of power that is literally representing us. And an example I give is, during the town hall, they asked him about what he would do with the war in Ukraine and Russia. And he gave kind of a deflecting answer. He said, I want people to stop dying, which, honestly, I think is kind of a fair answer. If it wasn't Trump saying it, I'd probably be a little bit more open to the logic, because saying whoever wins or loses a war is kind of obtuse and not really how war works. And I think we all want to see people stop dying there. I digress a little. The point is that he was asked about a war, what he would do if he was president about a very serious ongoing war. Imagine he had said something to the effect of, I would entertain the nuclear option, right? A very, very serious, consequential decision for someone, again, who was president, who could be president, not just someone who is spreading hate speech on, some forum, but someone who literally could have access to nuclear weapons, who people are going to be voting for. We need to have this kind of information, okay? That access needs to happen. Now, if you want to argue to what extent every organization needs to have live fact-checking or post-fact-checking, whatever you want to argue, I think there's room for debate. We live in a world of Twitch and live streaming, and there's a lot of ways that can be done, and I think old school media should adapt to. But the fundamental principle that I don't like this guy, I think this guy is harmful, therefore he should not be given a live interview. CNN should not give him an hour's time in front of people to speak. That I find a huge issue with that. I find the same issue with banning him off Twitter, the same issue with banning him off Facebook, is that this man is going to be someone who is consequential to all of our lives, who is going to be an active part of our democracy. We need to be aware of what he's saying. The secondary thing within that is, if you are running for president, insinuating a media blackout, insinuating either preferential or detrimental treatment. I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, and I did feel that there was a media blackout of him. Whether or not that was true, it's debatable. I looked up a lot of facts that I think support it. Either way, the perception of a blackout is very harmful to any sort of democratic race. If he is going to be running, if he is not legally disbarred from running in an election, we cannot have a system in which we're saying our media can give other candidates a platform to speak on a live town hall, but he cannot, regardless of how harmful he is, regardless of how much he lies, all the past issues. That is the kind of one-sided treatment that is really harmful to an honest democracy. So I really think that people need to be very, very careful about when they call for censorship, especially when it comes to presidents. I think that what could be done, a lot of criticism. I was reading AOC's Twitter today, and I think it was a op-ed by the New York Times, either them or the Washington Post, I forget, but similar kind of publication, and they were saying that a lot of issue was the format that they should have foreseen. There was a live audience that was jeering, that was clapping, that kind of, they said, created a bullying atmosphere when he was speaking about the victim who was accusing him, and also it allowed him to kind of parade his bravado as typically Trump does, where he can say things without being challenged. So I think in that capacity, that's a fair criticism, and there is a way in which a format can be done. You can have stronger moderation, but to some extent it can't. This is live TV. We're going to say you can't have live TV. There's always going to be a little bit of lag on fact checking. You're not going to get anywhere if you're constantly going to have a conversation in which facts have to be checked on all sides. Sometimes you just have to let candidates speak, and afterwards you can do what you want with the analysis. But to the extent that you want to criticize an hour-long live town hall forum, I would be very curious to see what suggestions are put forth. But to me, it feels as if the underlying issue was CNN. You should not have given Trump airtime. And I have a huge disagreement with that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.